Hey, this is Reginald Perryman. We're going to talk about selecting your farm area. So this is part of my series. What I'm teaching is sowing seeds to listing leads. This is the book. Link will be in the description. This is a book I wrote a few years back on building your listing pipeline. But today we're going to talk about selecting a farm area. You only want to farm an area if you plan on dominating that area. Don't dabble in the farming. Don't spend a little money here and there and spend a little time. It has to be a commitment. Your farm area is a business. So it only makes sense to do it if you're going to see if you can project a certain amount of income from that market area. So you're looking at return on investment. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I know most realtors, they stumble into a farm area, they get traction there, but it's not intentional. And in some cases, you just see an area, you say, hey, I would like to do business in that area because the homes are big, the price point is this amount, so on and so forth. But today I'm just going to stick to one thing and show you how to find your farm area and the metrics behind it. So first and foremost, 12 to 18 months. Remember that if you can't commit a minimum of 12 to 18 months to marketing to that area and investing your time, you're just going to waste money and time. You have to be committed for that length of time to see a good return on your investment. After that, it starts to snowball. Two is it can't just be an area where you say, hey, I like the area. No, the area may not have enough turnover, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at a couple of things. So first, we're going to identify your area. So let's look at this first. So here's an example, right? You identified your farm area. My recommendation is 500 or more homes. Now, your area may be a subdivision, or it may be a neighborhood or a section of a city that you would like to farm and dominate, right? Once you dominate one area, you can duplicate that process on, and we'll talk about reasons not to farm a certain area when we do the full spread out and the farming area series of this of sowing seeds for listing leads. So, but first and foremost, you just simply use either PRD, Remine, Batch Leads, or PropStream, and you're just going to draw any type of square, or you're going to identify your area and just draw the shape. I don't know what tool you're going to use, but it's just as simple as identifying your boundaries, your the borders, in other words. So in this case, I'm using an area in Royal Oak. I'm going to go from Gardenia to south to 11 Mile and from Main Street to Campbell. All right. So it's showing me that based on this map here and based on the shape that I drew around this area, there's over 1880, so 1,880 homes in this area that I'm looking at here. Okay, so just saying this is my farm area for you. All right, so now that we have 1,880 homes that are in that farm area, now what I want to do is see if the turnover rate is high enough for me to invest my money and time into that area. So it's simple. Just go straight into the MLS, pick active, sold, and pending. When I say active, I mean all types of active. So accepting backup offers, contingencies. What you're looking for is how much activity is going on or has happened over the past 12 months out of those 1,880 homes, right? So I'm just looking for sales only. You can decide if you want to do sales and leases, but I want to look at just active sales, pending sales, and sold sales in the past 12 months, right? Not the beginning of the year, not year to date. You want to go back a full 12 months. So you can see here, I'm going to go to map. And so the initial was 518 in the entire zip code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that same map from here. Now the first, again, was giving me all the homes that are constructed in the area. So everything that's an existing residential structure was 1,880 properties. Now I'm searching for market activity in this area. So now I see out of 1,880 properties, there's only 94 properties in the 12-month period that have sold, that are currently pending, or currently active in some type of active stage on the market. So now what we want to do is look at, does that meet our 6 to 7% turnover ratio? So we're going to look at how to calculate that. Now, it's pretty simple. So now we're just going to put in 1880. Oh, let me go back. 1880 here. And we're going to multiply that times 7%. So 131. So we do that time 1880 times 6%. 112. So right now there's only 94. I'm telling you, based on this particular area that we're looking at, it may or may not be worth it to you to market and farm to this area. Well, you say 94 homes is a lot for 1,880 properties. So I can easily go back here and look at also condominiums. Now we got 115 that have met that requirement. And that's enough business, because when we look at our ratios, that meets the 6%, is somewhere between that 6 and 7%. So just over 6%. So now we got condos that have added to that. So you got to look at, okay, can I afford to market to 1,880 homes, condos, and residential single family homes over a 12 to 18-month period? And you do that by marketing, which we're going to discuss, direct mail marketing. We're going to discuss that later. But this is simply how you identify your farm area. You have to calculate the turnover ratio. You're going to go to the city you want to market to. You may have 2 or 3 areas. This is going to be the deciding factor, number one. Number two, what we're going to look at is this. All right. Is there a dominant agent? So a dominant agent means they have 15 to 20% market share. So let's just say there was 115 properties. What we're looking at is a dominant agent. The quickest way to do this is simply look at MLS names. You're going to look at the listing agents' names, and you're going to have to do a little pen work on this. So there's other ways to do it in the MLS. I always just glance at it first to see if I see the same name. As of now, I haven't seen the same name more than once, except one person. So I'm looking for a dominant agent. So in this case, there probably isn't a dominant agent, but there are some agents that have a small percentage of market share. So a dominant agent would mean that in this case, there were 115 properties, right? 115. So time on the low end, we're going to say 15% market share. I did not see any single agent's name in there 17 times or more. So I say 15 to 20% market share, right? Which is kind of hard to do, but we see it all the time. Out of 115 homes, we just didn't see anyone with more than maybe 3% market share. You've seen some people with 2 or 3 of the homes listed. So in this case, there's no dominant agent. If there is a dominant agent that has 15 to 20% market share, that's reason number two to really decide if you want to compete. If you want to compete, you're going to have an uphill battle, but there are some reasons to still stay in that market. How long has the agent been around? Is their audience phasing out of the business? In other words, if there may be a veteran realtor that's probably going to retire soon, then that's going to open that market up. Maybe they're a veteran realtor that don't have a team and they don't have anyone to pass their book of business to, and the area is looking for a fresh new face to come in and take over market share. So those are the two main reasons. One, 6 to 7% turnover ratio. Two, is there a dominant agent? And three is always going to be important. Can you afford to market, and can you afford to invest the time needed to market and invest into that area for 12 to 18 months? In the next video, we'll go over the different strategies to marketing and newsletters and postcards and mailers and hand mailers and all of that good stuff as well. But this is just simply basically showing you how to come up with the numbers to determine your farm area. And next, we'll talk about actually marketing to your farm area.